Hello and welcome to Talkin Jake, myself, Jake Storielli, BBD, and we are talking some baseball, some September call-ups, some impact players. There was also, it was fun going team by team and seeing who called up prospect versus veteran versus how many teams lined up veterans for this September 1st, which I was also interested because, I don't know, we're only a couple years into the expanded but less expanded rosters. Like, I know we've dabbled in it for a couple years, but we're still, people remember the days of 40 men in the Rays abusing it. So it was interesting. I will say my baseball loser, which a lot of you have kick in that covers this, clicking team to team and being like, ooh, okay, that's actually... Those are two impact pieces, or, there were a chunk of teams that it's like, well, we need another arm, and here's a guy who's rode the bus with us all year.
This guy's, in the Yankees case specifically, Rizzo's back.
They are part of what sparked this conversation for me. Also, Cleveland, who ended up getting my award in Talking Baseball today. Top prospect Kyle Manzardo, starting pitcher Alex Cobb. So I thought it was interesting going around as we are in the home stretch, 4 weeks of regular season baseball. A couple of these teams will hit along the way. I'll mention, the Chicago Cubs have some exciting stuff going on. I was excited to click on their page and see who got called up. So, we're starting to hit a sports apocalypse of sorts. College football rolling this weekend. Hope your team did well. Got to watch a chunk of USC LSU last night. That was fun. We've got NFL games Thursday, Friday, and Sunday maybe. Full college football slate. We are in it, people. So let's enjoy it together. Thank you for tuning in. Hope you're subscribed and all that jazz. If not, do it now. Let's start going through some of the September call-ups. And I will check the box. We'll do the AL first, and I'll start with my Yankees, as BBD revealed. Anthony Rizzo was essentially part of their September call-ups. They did the Yankees like to think they're smarter than everyone. Hello. So they also sent down 2 guys. So they basically brought in 4 fresh bodies. And the controversial topic of it was not calling up Jason Dominguez, top prospect outfielder. So I would love to... You guys know your team better than us. If you guys have a hot topic on this issue, a prospect that didn't called up, another player that didn't get called up, let us know. I'm very interested in this. And every time I clicked over, there's obviously teams of less interest, but there's teams of more interest. And Rizzo came up. He had a 2-hit day. Made a nice play at first base. The Yanks have been missing that, so they were excited to see him. And then some bullpen depth. But, yeah, the story there has been Jason Dominguez. If you find your way onto Yankees X/Twitter, you'll see some of that conversation. It's most likely a lot of service time manipulation. If he has a certain amount of at-bats the rest of the way, he would lose his rookie eligibility. John Heyman also tweeted out that it's probably not. That they are in with Alex Verdugo and Trent Grisham, which I believe part of that too.
I do think there's a legitimate, they aren't going to just straight up not play Verdugo or Grisham ever again. And while there's 7 days a week to play Jason Dominguez, they will for another week or two. If it doesn't come up at any point, that would be a huge, huge mistake. You can make the argument either way that what does one more week really matter, but he's been hurt a lot this year. He's kind of lost this year developmentally. So
the Yankees don't believe in day-to-day baseball. The Yankees don't. They've shown that. That they're not ready to punt on Alex Verdugo. That means people in their front office have to admit they're wrong. They let Joey Gallo, who was struggling as bad of a player could struggle, go all the way to the trade deadline. We've seen this from them. DJ LeMahieu. They were playing him up to this weekend, and he was struggling more than any player in baseball.
And they haven't proven they're done throwing him out there. They just didn't face any lefties.
He's still on the roster, so I think the Yankees are in a deep way on that one. Again, These are pretty Yankee-centric, and this isn't supposed to be Yankees, so if your team has something going on like that, let us know. I was excited to click over to the Baltimore Orioles. Click. I did this all on Fangraphs roster resource. So there also may be, there are some teams that did some funk between also sending guys up or someone else got sent down. So these are round numbers with humans.
These are recent moves they made up and down.
Baltimore, a couple big ones. Zach Eflin is back for them. He shoved again, 7 innings pitched. There was a lot more MLB starting pitchers lined up for this date than I thought. And I don't know if that's lazy work by front offices, because we've joked about previously another team that me and BBD are fans of that will not be mentioned, but they like to put arbitrary dates out there and line them up for that. There was a Dodgers series that played the aforementioned team that the Yankees activated 3 or 4 guys for that series.
Yeah. There's been too many instances of 3 guys came back from injury same day.
And they're doing it again the next week. But enough on that. Also, super prospect Kobe Mayo, who, depending where you get your prospect rankings, saw him 11th on a chart. Overall, he's rode the bus a little bit this year. He is back with Baltimore. So I looked at those two, and I was like, okay, those are impact guys. Like, Kobe Mayo could get some run. He's been on that Norfolk Tides team setting records. And Zach Eflin, obviously, a big trade piece acquisition who's been great for them, had another great start. Boston falling further out of it. Valdez, who's rode the bus for them, and Shugart, not too much there. Valdez has some fun games. Tampa Bay, Zach Littell. So again, another major league starting pitcher that got lined up for this date. And then they called up Logan Driscoll, third catcher, number 46 prospect in the org.
Sure.
Toronto, the whole roster. Go check out the Toronto Blue Jays. Whether you're knee-deep in baseball or you're not, the Blue Jays roster might shock you. It was the least experienced roster the Blue Jays had ever put out on a field, according to a tweet I saw, and don't double-check it. When you look at the roster, you'll be shocked. And again, this isn't shots fired at the Blue Jays. I think Blue Jays fans are probably sending their own shots fired at themselves right now. And a credit to Foolish Bailey, who on this show a little before this time last year was like, there could be a demise of the Toronto Blue Jays. And we're kind of watching it. I'll just go through the lineup quick. I'll even include the bench. George Springer, not young. Don Varsho, sure. Vladdy, yep. This is when it starts going. Spencer Horwitz, Addison Barger, Alejandro Kirk, Joey Loperfido, Ernie Clement, Will Wagner. On your bench, Brian Servin, Luis De Los Santos, Leo Jimenez, Davis Schneider, and Nathan Lukes. I think they benched Springer for a day, so I think that cooked the numbers for them a little bit. But, yeah, I think Sunday's lineup was like the least experienced lineup in Blue Jays history. Pretty wild how you get there. So then I clicked over Cleveland, the top dogs, the top guards, guarding the Central. Kyle Manzardo, pretty legit prospect, top 50 prospect. He was traded for, was he Savali a year and a half ago? As the Brewers tap into him, I believe so. Baseball Reference just brought up Marcus Mazzardo, who I haven't been keeping up with. Let's see. At the college level in 2024, he got on base, not a lot of power. How is this even a page? How am I looking at Marcus Mazzardo right now? Anyways, Kyle Manzardo, who had a cup of coffee and kind of struggled, called back up, first game back kid, 2 home runs. Let's see what that matters for him. I love someone who comes up to the big leagues, gets knocked around, and then gets a chance to follow it up, whether that's in the minor leagues or that's in the offseason. Let's see how impactful he can be. I know the guards have been hunting for hitting in the second half. And then Alex Cobb, who gave them 5 no-hit innings back in their rotation. So another one of those. I mean, those are 2 impact pieces for them. Literally in that day. They got a quality start, and they got a 2-homer game. You're feeling the impact of that. Detroit called up JHM, a.k.a. Justin Henry Malloy, who's DH for them a little bit this year. Probably get a little bit of run, and a pitcher, not super impactful. Watch out for them Tigers. If they survive a Padres series earlier this week, they're going to enter a dystopian wild card race. It's going to be fun with them and the Cubs to see if they can really make it matter. They've done enough to put them in position to make it matter, but now you have to go make it matter. And I believed in a hug after a home run that I saw the Tigers players have. So that shows how my scouting goes back.
If nothing else, they're young, motivated team just trying to prove stuff, and not a team you like to run into at this time of year.
And I think they did this 2 years ago under Hinch. I think they did the same exact thing.
Yeah, I think they did it to a lesser extreme last year because remember all offseason, they were sneaky second place in the Central.
Ugh.
Overall, they disappointed this year, but they're back.
Your Minnesota Twins, Brooks Lee, one of their top prospects, if not top prospect, comes back for them and is manning some hot corner. Trevor Plouffe telling us Royce Lewis is at second. Did not see that coming. Also, this is just a fun blast for the past for AL East fans and early reliever draft. Diego Castillo, 30 years old now. Used to have some of the grossest stuff in the game. Sinker, slider, my God. Now, the Kansas City Royals are hilarious in their own right because they just brought in all the old men. Tommy Pham, Robbie Grossman, and Yuli Gurriel, however you want to label them. It needs to be a pitcher and a hitter, so it doesn't translate perfectly for this exercise. But that's their story right now. You can talk about your 28-man roster all you want, but the fact that they just went out and they brought in these guys. They also called up Alec Marsh, so a familiar arm, who I think pitched in that game as well. So they are, I said it on Talkin Baseball, we're either going to look up in a couple weeks and be like, that was pretty cool, man. The Royals littered this roster with veterans, hoping it would mean something, hoping to get pro at-bats and knowing what you're kind of going to get day in, day out from your Tommy Phams, your Yuli Gurriels, your Robbie Grossmans. Or we're going to look back in a couple weeks and be like, damn, that Vinny Pasquantino injury was near impossible to overcome. And, man, some of these guys they were rolling out. I'm rooting Royals. It's a lot of veterans. I think veterans in baseball should still matter, so I'm rooting for that. Chicago White Sox pass. I was hoping that there would be like a prospect that I'd be like, ooh. I think they called up a pitcher technically that might have been in the Dylan Cease trade, but didn't get me jazzy. And they're the worst team ever. So, hard pass. In Houston, it was a little bit of a series event. They called up a third-string catcher because that's all they need. Who cares? And then they activated Chas McCormick because I think Jake Myers went on the paternity list. So just a reminder, Chas McCormick, who had an OPS in the mid-8s last year, sent down, called backup. And Forrest Whitley for again, I'm not going to say baseball nerds, former top prospect, has had a ton of injuries, a slew of injuries, if you will. Let me check the minor league stats just to see if he's got a chance to be Astros Freak Show. In 2019, Baseball America had him as the number 5 prospect in baseball. It hasn't panned out. It looks like in AAA this year, 29 innings, 40 strikeouts. That's PCL, baby. Sugarland. Kelsey Winger.
Moved
Sugarland.
him to that pen.
Here's Forrest Whitley. Here's Hector Neris. Houston set up, if you haven't heard. Go check it out. So I thought that was half fun.
Nice.
Seattle, one of their bullpen arms that's been riding the bus. Luis Urias, another little flash from the past. Forget that the Mariners offseason / Mariners trade generator for a while was just bringing in, can you play second and third and get hot?
Utility infielders that don't strike out.
It's working. It's not. Texas, this was fun because, and again, there's a little bit of unofficial here, we think, but it seems like Jack Leiter's going to get the call and put in the rotation for the last month of the season, so that's exciting. Familiar last name, first-round pick, Vandy Godors, excited to see that. And Justin Foscue, another actual prospect for them. So if you're the Texas Rangers, a season that's fallen off a bit, you'll get to see a little bit of young talent. My beautiful Los Angeles Angels running a crazy team out there right now. So many young pitchers. The first ever Italian Aldegheri, who they got from the Phils and is an actual pitching prospect. They just called up their youngest pitcher to get a win in Angels history, 20 years old. Good for you. Know who they called up, Beebs? This is when the click game got really fun for me. Reed Detmers.
Oh, yes.
Baseball comes at you fast, man. Sent down earlier this year. He's back with the big boy club. There's an argument he could have been one of the top young pitchers in baseball if he put it together another nice season this year. Comes at you fast. Oakland was a little disappointed. Nothing. In the National League, we'll start out east again. I went alphabetical. I didn't really, though. Philly called up Cody Clemens, who Cody Clemens, during Philly's injury times this year, he had a hot stretch. So that's another weapon for them. And then another pitcher. Atlanta calls up Eli White, who's been up and down for them. Good speed, versatile. John Brebbia. Picture him in a Giants uni. But he's throwing some major league innings. Let's see if there's some Braves devil magic there. Mets, nothing too exciting except young Alex Young. Just used to saying that. Washington, fun story, nothing too impactful. I mean, they already just called up Dylan Cruz, so you could lump that in. Darren Baker was technically part of it. Dusty Baker's kid, one of the fun moments of the weekend. Got a hit in his first at bat. We love that. Marlins, another catcher and a reliever. As unexciting as it could be. Come on, Marlins. Give me just a little more. Milwaukee. A fun click. Go check out where the Brewers are in the standings. The Milwaukee Brewers have the best run differential in all of baseball. 133. That's better than the Dodgers. That's better than the Phillies. That's better than the New York Yankees, who are in second place with 121, surprisingly. And what did the Brewers do? They activated DL Hall, who gave them 7 innings of shutout ball. Rhyme. He was the big piece, or he was supposed to be the big piece in the Corbin Burns trade. Joey Ortiz has been great for them. They got another pick in that, too. DL Hall had been kind of meh. It looked like his fastball ticked up a little bit in that start. Something to track, especially for Brewers fans, as they're going to figure out their rotation and bullpen the rest of the way. If DL Hall comes down the stretch like he did, and a reminder, he was really good with the Orioles out of the bullpen, so I wouldn't be surprised, I guess, if he settles in out there. That might be a safer option than some of their starters. But if he shoves down the stretch, there's playoff innings to be had in Milwaukee. And they've still got a really good shot to get the 1 or the 2 seed, which everyone just assumed they'd be penciled in the 3 because it's Phillies and Dodgers. One slip up, the Brewers are going to be there. And then, just out of hilarity, the other guy they called up is Brewer Hicken. The Brewers called up a Brewer. The last name kind of helps, too, if we're being honest. Brewer Hicken. That's a Milwaukee name.
Pretty perfect name.
So I don't know if you believe in magic. Look at that. The clicks continued to get fun in the NL Central. The Chicago Cubs, 9-1, beating up on bad teams. More bad teams coming. Watch out for your Cubbies. They called up Jordan Wicks, who's starter for them, pitched, lined up. So again, more than, I guess we're 2/3, 3/4 of the way through this. Wicks, DL Hall, Detmers. Who else did I have? Cobb, Zach Littell. Eflin. Like, that's 6 teams that lined up basically another starting pitcher for their 27th, 28th man, which I don't know. I guess I was just a little surprised to see that.
Feels like just like a big number, but I suppose if you knew it would be in this 4-day window, why wouldn't you do the math? But it's funny.
I guess if you got a guy kind of in that timeline, you just do it there. I don't know. Was interested. Wicks comes up. Haven't seen us in the same room. Nick Madrigal. So again, Cubbies, who are on this kind of magic run right now trying to make it matter, they just called up 2 MLB guys. They have boosted their roster.
Madrigal, there's a chance he's fake news. I think they graduated him to put him on the 60-day.
No.
He might still be hurt.
Madrigal?
Unclear, but fun name.
Recalled from the minors. Yeah, you might be right. Then who would it be? It's not Thomas Nido released.
They did kind of the same thing to Nido in a different fashion.
Miles Mastroboni.
Sean Armstrong in. They shuffled the last few days.
Pittsburgh Pirates. Again, this is some loose math here, but it's kind of Kutch and Holderman. Holderman has been a great holds guy for them. He comes off the IL. Kutch did a day or two earlier, but I think that's kind of essentially how it worked out for them. And they don't matter anymore. Still mad at you, Pirates. Trade for Brent Rooker. You kind of blew it. Not going to do that. I don't know what was offered. I don't know what the A's were asking for. But God, Brent Rooker. Go check out the season stats. St. Louis called up Michael Ciani and Steven Matz. Hello.
Whoa.
Yeah. So a couple big leaguers there at least. Cardinals, man, it was a funky watch this weekend with the Yankees. I don't know if that team has an identity. It's kind of weird baseball on both sides. Reds called up Jake Fraley and a pitcher. Reds.
Not to harp on the Pirates,
Yeah.
but we haven't talked in full about O'Neal Cruz moving to center like anywhere. But have you seen who has slotted into shortstop in his stead?
Pirates shortstop is the question.
Mm-hmm.
J.J. Hardy.
Isaiah Kiner Falefa.
Oh, I did see that.
Yeah. Got it. At least the last 6 starts there.
Proud of my guy. Putting it together.
Love him at third.
Jake Fraley, a pitcher, said that. Which brings us out west. I'm going to start with my snakes because I did click that in alphabetical order, and whatever. Exercise doesn't change because of it. Nothing too crazy. I was happy they called up Jorge Barrosa, my 5'6" outfielder. Yeah. And Slade Ciccone, pitcher who's been on and off the MLB roster for them. So just a little bit of depth there because they're still rolling, by the way. Go check that out. Dodgers, an embarrassment of riches mode, and I'm assuming this was because he was the only guy with options, and I know he slowed down a lot. They technically called up Andy Pages.
Oh.
A guy that's been their center fielder a lot of the year. I mean, not doing this. These are 2 rosters that should not be compared right now, but the Dodgers, go compare the Dodgers roster and the Blue Jays roster. I named you everyone on the Blue Jays. This is everyone. It's the Dodgers active roster. Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Teoscar Hernandez, Gavin Lux, Will Smith, Max Muncy, Tommy Edman, Miggy Rowe, with a bench of Austin Barnes, who has been there forever now, Kike Hernandez, who's been around forever now, Chris Taylor, been around forever now, Kevin Kiermaier, been around forever now, Andy Pages, probably sent down before that because he had options. So he's back up. Dodgers are pretty wild. They also called up my guy Justin Roblieski. Who I think he pitched a little bit. Man, Kershaw getting hurt again. Their rotation still looks okay. but I don't know. They need some things to click pitching wise. I think hitting wise, I think they're in the good place. Get back to my page. San Diego. This was a fun click. The Padres, who have basically been toe-to-toe with Arizona and a couple other teams as the best team in baseball. And San Diego, you never know, right? Are they going to call up some top prospect? Call up Ethan Salas, that 14-year-old catcher. I think he's 17. They called up a different catcher. Former All-Star Game MVP, Elias Diaz. Rockies, I hate you. You could have traded him last year as the All-Star Game MVP, a catcher who had a positive OPS plus for a year and a half. Nothing.
Could have gotten actually something last year. Could have gotten literally something this year. And you just, cut him.
What could they have? No. Never mind. I'm not going to do that. They called up.
It wouldn't have been anything crazy. But
they called up a pitcher, too. Beebs?
I've got some names in front of me.
Wandy Peralta, a guy that won over the hearts of Yankee fans. Injured and hadn't been great with San Diego, but I'll tell you what, in this world of baseball we live in, if Wandy Peralta goes out there and has a September 10 outings, 1 earned run, which I've seen him do before, Wandy Peralta will be pitching in big innings this October. I've seen him. Saw him one season. He was the Yankees got righties out because he had a wipeout changeup. There's one year he was gross against lefties. If he finds either of those, he'll be a weapon for San Diego. If not, they have a couple other weapons too. Things have been fun in San Diego. Colorado, no. San Francisco was kind of the same. Tristan Beck technically would fall under starting pitcher for this year who they lined up for this date, and they did. He'd been out for a while. So, and then Blake Sable, who, if you remember, Trevor Plouffe played catch on the beach with. And Blake Sable was like, I'm a major leaguer. And Trevor was like, all right, dude. How'd that happen? Not enough people talk about that. What do we get out of that exercise? Introduced to some players. And yeah, I just thought it was funny at this time of year. Obviously, the contenders matter more than the other teams. You know, a couple fun young ones out there between Texas and, you know, the Nats kind of called up their fun young guys earlier. But seeing how I was shocked at how many MLB pitchers lined them up for this date, which maybe that's the learning from this exercise, that teams are just going to do that the rest of the way. If you're going to add a body, it's probably going to be someone you're familiar with or is rehabbing along the way. And then, yeah, I'll be interested to see, you know, Kobe Mayo. If Baltimore is hunting for offense, is he going to have a lane at all to get enough at-bats to become an impact guy for them? Manzardo in Cleveland. I mean, that's a good way to start a story if you're going to do that. The whole NL Central kind of called impact guys. And then San Diego was a lot of fun there. Like, I don't know how their catcher reps are going. I could ask Ryan Cohen, or maybe you're going to tell me in the comments. And sometimes in baseball, we get a little too connected to the names we're familiar with when baseball does move pretty quickly and you need to get ready for the next guy. Higgy, Campusano, and Elias Diaz. Look at that. Sound off below if you know someone else I should be talking about, or if there's a Dominguez situation on your team, someone that you're like, how have we not called this guy up? Maybe
your team's controversial choice.
Maybe you're looking to burn a pitcher or two before that. Yeah. 2 extra roster spots.
Yeah. It's definitely like kind of a... I don't think I like this solution to the September call-ups thing. And you know, they were polarizing before. Like 40 active guys was probably too many.
Too much.
But like adding one pitcher, one hitter, like the point of it is like prospects to get a chance at the end of the year.
Yeah, it gets
That
tricky
was kind of
because
like the reason they
like
first did it.
like we just went through, every team has different needs at this point. Like the Blue Jays would just call up another young cat to duke it out. Or I think they like DFA'd Paulo Espino, who's now becoming a generational, oh my God, we need someone to kind of throw MLB innings. Give us 3 innings and 4 earned runs and we'll be happy.
It's weird. Like also like the rookie rules that are the reason the Yankees didn't call up Dominguez because you're supposed to be able to call up a guy for the September before, and that doesn't hurt you next year. Which I understand how they got there. That he has extenuating circumstances. 40 active guys is probably too many, but can't it be that number of guys up, but like 25 are active or 26 now, and the 4 starting pitchers that aren't pitching, that kind of gets you to a spot where, like, yeah, you get 2 extra bullpen and an extra bench guy or something.
Yeah, it's just tough. It gets
hard.
tough because people are always going to try to navigate it. Like, you know,
There's always going to be a way to circumvent
pitching's the
it.
trickier part at this point, and I don't know, just any way that you rearrange the rules, teams will abuse it. So
We'll find the way.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll be interested to see if it manifests. What? If it changes over the next couple years. I think baseball feels fine with it. And yeah, Andy Pages, tough.
What a weird year for him.
Man, they have to. Curse is a very strong word, but like, remember James Outman?
Yeah.
Andy Pages kind of went nuts, and now he's slowed down significantly.
They are a team that'll ride the wave.
Look at that. Let's see, just a little Jakey around the horn from this weekend. Because got to tune into a little bit of college football. First weekend's a fun one. And I'll reverse engineer it because the game I watched the most was LSU USC last night. God, it's tough because I try to draw the line when my friends are just being rude to be rude. Not a lot of Brian Kelly fans in my group chat. I'll say that. It always felt like kind of a weird fit with LSU because he didn't seem like an LSU guy. That being said, they were a play or two from winning this game, and they kind of had control of this game going into the third quarter. It was cool to see, and the broadcast was kind of, I don't want to say the broadcast was going too hard on it, but it was unique in today's day and age of college football. LSU's quarterback, Garrett Nussmeier, tough last name. USC's quarterback, this feels like a college football player generator, Miller Moss. Miller Moss versus Garrett Nussmeier. Both of these quarterbacks had like kind of done it the old school college way. They got recruited, sat a year. They got replaced Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels. Your 1-3 picks in the draft transferred in, got the starting job. And a lot of guys these days, you have to look at other opportunities. Who knows what Miller Moss, you want to be the head quarterback at Virginia? It's yours if you want it. Who knows what opportunities these guys actually had on the table. They both played pretty well. First game of the year. And yeah, USC just made the winning plays down the end. I know that's a cop-out. The final play, USC's star receiver, and maybe that would be the headline, like stars of the weekend that emerge. Kyron Hudson, not crazy stats, but if you look at the game-sealing catch he made, it's like bobble, juggle, snag. The guy, the safety came over, helmet to helmet, ejected from the game. That's how bad he got him. Still made the catch to win it. So that was pretty powerful stuff. Let's see. I have a weak spot for USC. Have always liked them without having a college football team. Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart. Even before that, Carson Palmer. People forget. Liked him a lot. Pete Carroll kind of revved my engine for a little bit. Expanded playoffs this year, so both teams won't necessarily be hurt by this loss. It is going to be funny to track. As you guys know, I'm a big Ryan Russillo guy. He kind of dislikes where we're at with college football because losses like this used to mean more. I want to feel it out a little more because, in a way, the expanded playoffs could be great if we encourage more games like this. Like LSU knows their season isn't over, where, I don't know, 5 years ago, more, less, their season kind of would have been over. So I'm interested to see that aspect of it, and I get the other side of it. Every game's an elimination game. I want to see how the format feels. I would love if there'd be more games like this through the year, because if you do lose it, you'll be okay. And it was good content last night. The only game in town with the U.S. Open, which I guess I should talk some U.S. Open. Let me chew through a little more college football quick. What you need to know. Georgia's really good. They're like new Bama level good. Like if you don't know, you probably know. You're listening to a sports program. But they are dominant. They beat number 14 ranked Clemson 34-3. Ew. Might have the number one pick in the draft with Beck at quarterback, if you're into that kind of thing. Who did I want to talk about? Oh, there's a really cool story. Arizona, the Wildcats, not known for their college football history. They have a really cool quarterback wide receiver combo, Fafita to McMillan, T-Mac. No offense to Fafita. T-Mac is the guy you need to know. 10 catches for 304 yards, 4 touchdowns. Projected to be a top 10 pick. He went nuts this weekend. And I think he's going to do that a lot of weekends. They were high school teammates. They got recruited to Arizona together. The Arizona coach was leaving and it was like, yo, you dudes come with me. Like, let's do the Caleb Williams thing. And they were kind of like, we're good. And I think there were some other attachments to it that their high school coach like got elevated to an Arizona coach now. So that was part of the reason they stayed. It's going to be a fun year for Arizona Wildcat football, which you don't hear that a lot. Another guy that set a school record at a school that has become very popular in college football circles, Boise State. They had a running back, Jaunty? Gonna have to work on that. 20 carries for 267. 20 carries for 267 and 6 touchdowns. Yes. And I think they've got a fun one coming up. Boise State at Oregon. Oregon slipped up a little bit against Iowa, 24-14, while every other team was getting blown out. So that might be a good late night watch this weekend. God, it's going to be a big sports weekend. Let me see if I have any other college football notes. Scrolling the scoreboard. Utah, no. Missouri's got a really good wide receiver. That's cool. The Ohio State, Roll Damn Tide. Ole Miss puts up a 76 burger. Penn State beat West Virginia. People thought West Virginia might keep that closer. They did not. Michigan's first game with their new coach, they win 30-10 over Fresno, which compared to some of the other blowouts isn't as blowy-outy. What? Miami. Everyone wants the U to be back. They've got a chance this year. Their quarterback, Cam Ward, he's a stud. All of my respected college football people put him on the radar. They balled up against the Florida Gators in the swamp, 41-17. Might not be Florida's best team this year. NFL week is here. My closing remarks went to the U.S. Open this weekend. Tennis. Supposed to be a New York rite of passage, bucket list type event. And it kind of is. Had a good time. Went for the night session. Didn't know whether to get night or day tickets. Wasn't really sure how it went. Temperature-wise, thought night would be safer. And prime time, like it's getting towards the final week of the U.S. Open. A little disappointing, 2 of what would have been the bigger draws for Saturday night when I went. Alcaraz, the new like guy in tennis. He lost, one of the biggest upsets in like recent tennis history. So that was tough. And then Naomi Osaka, one of the more popular players, she also got upset. So those would have been like the two top draws. It's okay. Got to see Medvedev, your 2021 U.S. Open champion. It's a fun watch, man. Like any sports, being in person is pretty cool, but it's fun seeing how the crowd feeds off of a good rally or a good point or a nice shot. I feel like you don't necessarily get that in every sport. The other thing that was cool is that the crowd is biased but not biased. You have back-to-back good points. The crowd is on your side. You've just won them over. Medvedev was playing some young Italian guy, Bola Bola. That's not his name. But it was funny. It was funny watching that. Jess was getting a good laugh out of that. She was like, wow, there's no love, no bias here. I was like, kind of, yeah. I mean, I think if we went to like a Coco Gauff match or someone like that, the crowd ends up going back. But Medvedev was funny because the Italian guy was the underdog, and the crowd was starting to get on his side. The Italian guy had a little more swag, stronger forehand, was grunting more. Good way to win over the crowd. And so Medvedev, who was consistently playing better, every time he had a good rally, like he kind of looked at the crowd. He's like, come on. Like, I'm the guy. I'm the one who's won here.
I think he has a history of going back and forth with the U.S. Open crowd as well.
No, it was great. So got to see that, and then Iga, the number one women's ranked seed, beat Pavlyuchenkova.
Whoa.
6-6 in straights. If I were to do it again, so there's and I think I will do it again. I did enjoy my time there. The Honey Deuces, they were fine. A tasty alcoholic drink, $23. I mean, if you're really looking to get your drink on, I don't know if the Honey Deuce is the way you want to go. Maybe that makes me sound like a booze bag.
You checked the box. You got
the Honey Deuce, and you know, there's one too many people carrying around like 6 cups proud. Whatever. I'll never knock it. Have fun at whatever you're doing. Where did I want to find that Italian guy's name. Cabali. Flavio Cabali. He had some swag to him. Italian guy. We like that. If I were to do it again, the only thing we did wrong, we got there because the night shift tickets, it says 7 p.m. So me and Jess were like, I don't know. All right. So we'll get there for like 6 and we'll figure it out. That was like a prime arrival time for the night shift. That there was, I don't know, maybe it was 20 minutes where we were in like sardine mode, like getting in the venue, getting like, you know, going through metal detector and stuff like that. That just wasn't ideal. A lot of bodies, cramped, not how you want to start your day. Yeah. And I've told this story once before, so I'll tell it tight. First time I went to Key West, I was expecting to go to Key West and it be some yuppie town. It's not. It's a party town. It's like New Orleans, but an island on the water. It's a mess. And the first time I got there, it was like 7:30 p.m., which I like to label the witching hour, because there's a bunch of people on the street that have been drinking since noon. So I got to Key West, and I was like, what the hell is this? Literally looked like Walking Dead or something. There was just a little bit of that at the U.S. Open because there's people that had gotten there at noon and had been drinking all day. So when we first got there, it was jam-packed, and there's just a lot of people in zombie mode. Just a lot of contact. Just too much walking contact. That, I guess that's the thing I can't tell you. Me and Jess were like, hey, let's find a safe spot for a minute. I need to like breathe. And we found a safe spot, and I won't share that with you. But probably would do it again. I think if I could do it again, I would buy the early ticket we saw a couple friends there that they bought the early ticket, and there's a ton of courts there because there's so many matches going on. And they were like, yeah, we just hopped court to court. You can bring your drink everywhere with you. You find a court you like or is a good match, you hang out. If you don't like the vibes there, you bail. And they were like, yeah, we just walked around all day, got drinks, took breaks. And I was like, oh, that sounds nice. So if I would do it again, I think I would do that. I would probably hang out till like when the night arrival crew gets there just to see it get chaotic. And then I'd probably bail because as much as I like sports, the tennis was good. It would be sick to see two of the top go at it. Like that would be
getting to see at least one of like the guys.
Because they like, again, the unique experience there is the crowd kind of rooting for both players. Like if they're rooting for good tennis, like that's the base. Sure, if you're an American at the U.S. Open, if you're a French at the French Open, if you're a Brit at Wimbledon, like yes, there's going to be a little bit of that, or how just popular, famous you are. But the crowd almost wants to be won over, and the way you do that is with good tennis or emotion, which was kind of cool. So a fun sports weekend, Labor Day weekend. What's that, Beebs? I see a little smile there.
2-part U.S. Open story. I watched a little bit of the Medvedev, and it's kind of a weird broadcast the way they do like the pre-match interview, and then they do like the walkout thing. It's just shot kind of weird.
It is weird, yeah.
I don't know if that's how they normally do it, but I hadn't noticed it before. But as you said, what you just said, I remember that Medvedev walked off his interview with like, "Oh, we'll play some beautiful tennis for you," and I was like, "Yeah, that's nice. That's kind of the goal."
He played his Russian former champion card well.
Yeah.
Kind of like not a ton of emotion, but like, guys, like I'm a guy. That's not a guy. Like, basically, Medvedev, every time he scored a point, he was almost doing like a, like guys, choose the winning side.
I am the best.
I'm going to win this. That's fun. He's nice, but like, guys, it's me. I did this in 2021. So that's off the sports bucket list. Big week this week. Probably a little bit more football, probably with some baseball to kick it off too. We'll see what we've got for you. If not, have a good Labor Day.
Wake and Jake is a production of Dan Patrick Productions, John Boy Media, and Workhouse Media.